Holy moly! Oh yeah! It's been a while since we reviewed one of these shell ejecting blasters, guys. Hello! What is up, guys? I'm your host Gordon and welcome to another one of my video. What I got over here is something very cool. It is a shell ejecting lever action foam dart blaster. And oh boy, it's been a while that we have made one of these review. This blaster over here sure is intimidating. Holy moly! What I got over here is a M1894 Tactical edition. And for your information, this is the same brand as the previous M1894, which is the brand WICK. Definitely not the kind of aesthetic that you are going to bring out to the public. So without further ado, let us go on with the reviewing. In the box, we got the receiver, the buttstock, the handguard, some shells, some darts, some hardware, a shell holder, and a manual. To install the buttstock, push the buttstock into the receiver and tighten it up. Slide in the handguard and screw it tight. The shell holder is Velcro, just open it up and put it in just like so. Okay, first look at the blaster. As you can see, the aesthetic of the blaster is basically a M1894 with some M-Lok handguard at the front, and of course the color is kinda not so friendly. But the build quality of this blaster is truly amazing. I mean, the whole blaster felt really solid. I mean, it got some weight to it. The moment when you hold the blaster on hand, immediately you will feel that there is a little bit of weight at the back over here, because there is some weight at the back over here, which is basically a solid cylindrical steel. And one of the most important part, most of the internals of this blaster is made out of metal. As you can see, this is like a clear black over here. You can see the movement, mechanical movement of the blaster. Take a look at the shell ejecting though. I love shell ejecting foam dart blaster like this one. The hammer over here is pretty much a fake hammer. It is made out of metal. The shell ejecting mechanism is made out of metal. The lever over here is of course made out of metal. And there are some combinations of the use of nylons as well. For example, the M-Lok handguard over here. Take a look at this, guys. This part of the blaster is probably the most aesthetically pleasing part of the entire blaster. I mean, take a look at that. Even the M-Lok logo is over there. The grip of the blaster, very comfortable. The entire buttstock of the blaster is nylon. And take a look at this PU leather shell holder. It makes this blaster even more tactically cool. Oh yes, speaking about tactically cool, the blaster also comes with a pretty intimidating suppressor over here. This is more like a crisp vector suppressor, I would say. It is a non-functioning suppressor. It is just basically a hole over here for the darts to exit. And the front suppressor looks like it might made out of nylon, but this is just plastic. Only this part and the grip of the blaster as well as the buttstock is made out of nylon. Speaking about Picatinny rail, unlike the older version of the M1894, this blaster actually comes with a tiny roll of Picatinny rail on top of the blaster. It's just like 4 inches of Picatinny rail for you to put in maybe a scope of choice or something like that, maybe a sniper scope. For the sake of the review, we will try installing one of these scope over here. Holy moly, now it looks even more intimidating. I'm gonna take this thing off because I don't think you might need a sniper scope for this blaster over here, because most of the time these shell ejecting foam dart blaster, or we call it a shell ejecting shotgun, are just collector's grade blaster. Basically, collector's grade blaster does not come with great power. This blaster over here comes with 2 kinds of shells, which aesthetically it looks the same. It fires 2 kinds of darts. First of all, it's going to be one of these proprietary half-length thin darts, I would call it, and the other one is one of these tiny foam darts, which most of the time this thing comes with one of those shell ejecting Glocks. The maximum shell capacity of this blaster, even though it looks pretty long, it only can fit in 5 shells. And I think that's about it. And since this blaster is a lever action blast over here, can I actually do the Terminator spin? Yes and no. You might need a little bit of a technique to pull out the Terminator spin, because if you are not careful, you will definitely going to break something like I did. Bruh. Because this blast over here is a little bit too long in my opinion to pull off the the Terminator spin. And what actually happens, I actually accidentally snaps the silencer over here when it hits my body. But fortunate enough, I managed to glue it back together. So yeah, your results might vary if you want to do the Terminator spinning stunt. I will try a little bit in my demo later on. So back to the blaster. In order for you to put in the shells as usual, just like the M1894, you put in the darts at the very small door over here. In my opinion, this door is a little small, but fortunate enough, the dart insertion is pretty smooth. Sometimes it might hurt my finger a little bit after a prolonged period of play, but overall, everything works out pretty smoothly. Really like the trigger pull, by the way, triggers metal as well. And as usual with these shell ejecting blasters, I really like the length of the blaster. The buttstock itself with this curve over here is very comfortable to shoulder. So I guess that's all of the quirks and features of this blaster. So without further ado, let us go test the blaster out. Okay, we are back, guys. So the performance of the blaster is as expected. This is a collector's blaster, it's not a performance blaster, therefore you will not be getting any high numbers in terms of FPS. If we were to use one of these proprietary darts, the blaster can go from 53 FPS all the way to 63 FPS, more like something like a Nerf Elite standards, not on the higher side but more on the lower side, I would say. But if you use one of these tinier microfoam darts, the blaster can only goes from 48 FPS all the way to 54 FPS, and it is very not stable as well. So in my opinion, if you want to operate this blaster in a more stable way, you want all the darts fly stably, you might want to choose one of these proprietary like thin half-length darts. So in terms of accuracy, I would say that the blaster is pretty accurate, but the distance of the blaster is lacking. Like if you want to hit a target, this blaster can only goes for around 4 meters, and that's about it. Maybe 4 to 5 meters if you want to stretch it a little bit by doing a little bit of the arcing motion, but I would say the most optimum shooting range is around 4 meters. But fortunate enough, operating this blaster, I did not encounter any jams, which is a good thing, a big taboo from one of these shell ejecting blasters, because sometimes if you get a lemon unit, you might get jams here and there, or you get like a rip-off brand or something like that. Overall, I would say that the shell insertion is pretty smooth. The shell ejecting, as you can see, it just goes up pretty smooth. The firing is smooth, just that the FPS is a little low. And will this blaster passes the wall test? Holy moly, take a look at this blaster. Don't tell me this blaster don't passes the wall test. It looks extremely beautiful. If you wanted to use this blaster in a actual Nerf war, that is not recommended. I'm telling you guys, take a look at this color over here, unless you paint it to something like a pink blaster. And definitely in terms of practicality, I don't think this blaster is practical as well because of the low FPS reading. Accuracy is good, but you are lacking distance. Unless if you want to use this blaster as a melee or something like that, which I do not recommend as well because this blaster is a little bit too solid, I would say. So yeah, I guess that's all today, guys. If you guys like this video, feel free to smash on the like button, and of course don't forget to click on the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. So I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.
Adios, guys!